Hey guys, welcome back to the day 2 of Microsoft Azure Fundamentals Bootcamp, and today we have with us our expert speaker Bhargavi ma'am, who will be taking the bootcamp and the session ahead, and we'll be deep diving into the some of the more services offered by Azure and how can we benefit and how can we use those services to solve the industry use cases. So without any further delay, let's start with the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah, let me share my screen. Hope my screen is visible as well.
Yes, ma'am. Your screen is visible.
Okay. Hi all, welcome back to the session 2. We will have a glance, we will have a revision of what we saw yesterday for model 2 alone, since we haven't gone through the PPT and we just saw an overview in the site. We will just go through whatever it is there in this module, and we will go with the further modules. And the module 2 is more about the core Azure architectural components, which is uh, wherein we walk through the Azure portal, where we connected through the site, and we saw all the services which are available, and we came across the site. We came across those resources and whatever it is there here, and we got through these ones, and then um, yeah, we also saw how to create a database, and we also we in Azure, and what are the different types of database and available in Azure as well, and then we will go with the regions. um, Considering Azure regions, Azure has many data centers. Our regions are made up of one or more data center in the close proximity. Like it may be available in different regions, and they may be, yeah. They they are they are made up of more data centers because they provide flexibility, and they make the customer latency to be reduced, and that's why there are more data centers which are available, and there are around 60 plus regions, and there are over one and that are available over 140 countries. And moving to next one, this is how the region pairs will work out. Like if there is, if wherever you are near, you can launch those regions to the nearest region, and you can use those ones. And there are almost at least 300 miles of separation between the each region, and we will be the updates are rolled out sequentially to minimize the downtime. Like if one region server is getting down, then the other region server may be up. That's the reason there are different regions across the globe, and we may be using it to store and we can use it across. And coming to the availability options, virtual machine SLA has been measured as the 99.9%, uh, the when it comes to a single virtual machine, then it becomes a difficult for us, because it when that server gets down, then the other, we cannot access it. Only when there are multiple zones available for us, and that's when the data center also comes. And we may we may use it. And when there are data center failure as well, we may get a chance to uh, we may get a chance to use it when across the region when the data center also goes down. And the region pair is something like it is the regional protection within the data residency boundaries, and the both regions will be connected together, and when whatever the data that is present in this region will also be present at that region as well, so that the backup is being done and we can use it. Yeah, it is more about the one which we saw earlier. And moving to the next one, which is Azure Resources, what we saw in the VM. Azure Resources contains of components like storage, virtual machines, and network that are used to build the cloud solutions. Virtual machine is something like what we saw yesterday. Like we created a virtual machine, and we can have a different type of the virtual machine. Maybe I can walk you through. If you had missed yesterday's session, I can just have a quick walkthrough of what we saw yesterday. Like we can go, this is called as Azure portal, and we can go here and we have to create a resource group, and you have to name it here, and you have to give the regions which are to be needed, and you have to give the image of what it has to be. Like it has to be Red Hat, or it has to be Windows Server, or it has to be Ubuntu Server, or you have to decide it, and you have to give over there. And you can determine the size of how much size you want, and you can go with that. Also you can give the SSH public key or password of authentication what you want, and you can give over here, and you can create it, and the virtual machine will be get created. Virtual machine is basically the a desktop that is being that will be provided to you as a virtual one, that is called as virtual machine. And then we also saw about the storage accounts. Like we may have different types. Like there will be one thing called as storage, and one thing called as database. Here when you come over here, you can find something called as storage here, and inside that storage you may have different type of things over here. And Azure blob storage is something with containers, and you can use it for IoT things. And then for there are different things over here as well, for which you can get it used. And virtual network is also been a part of the Azure resource. And app services is you can create mobile app, web app, and those kind of stuffs over there. And then the SQL database is accessing the um, accessing the database inside the Azure itself is called as SQL database. And then functions, yesterday we saw. So moving to next one. Yeah, our what we saw right now is Azure Resources, and what we are going to see is Azure Resource Group. A resource group is a container to manage and aggregate resources in a single unit. We may have different virtual machines, and that has to be maintained under a single unit, and that is called as resource group. And resource group can exist in only one resources. All the resources which are needed has to be existed in only one resource group. And resources can be can be in different region, that need not to be in specific region, and but that has to be in only one group. And then the resources can be moved across the resource groups. And apart from that, the resources can utilize the multiple resource groups. Resource manager is the one which will manage all the which will manage which will manage you to update, create, or delete resources in your Azure subscription. And this is where you would be able to do the uh, this is totally depends on your Azure subscription. If it's individual subscription, then you would be billed on the charge, and you would be given on the charge. And if it's enterprise or organizations subscription, then the Azure resource manager would get different based on that. And it would, like what you see here, it would have Azure portal, and then all these ones are of one is Azure portal, and another one is Azure PowerShell, and another one is CLI. Maybe we will see what are these in the in the forthcoming ones. And all these ones are stored in the SDK, and that all those ones get get moved to the Azure Resource Manager with the authentication, and you can use it for data store or web application to create a web application, or you can create a virtual machine, or you can do a service management, or you can do n number of services which are available over the Azure portal. That is called as Azure Resource Manager. And then moving to Azure Subscription. Azure Subscription, like what I told, it totally depends on what you are using. Like if you are using a individual subscription, then it depends on the pay what you have paid for, and for enterprise what the subscription they have opted for. And when it comes to Azure subscription, it is totally, it will provides you with an authenticated and authorized access to the Azure accounts. And the like what I told, the invoice and the invoice and the reports are for each subscription of what you do. There can be n number of subscription for same account. That needs not that is not a problem at all. And then you can manage and control the access to the resources that users can provision with this specific subscriptions. And then moving to management group can include multiple Azure subscriptions. Like what you see here, you can have management groups as the one which is at the top, and you management groups will have multiple subscriptions to it, and then subscription will have the resources mapped to it, and then resource groups will have the resources to it. That is how the hierarchy goes on. And you would be able to do, when you need a resource to be created, you have to check with the management group first, and then you have to go with the subscription, and then you have to come to the resource group, and at last the resource will be created. And the subscription, the yeah, subscription inherits the condition applied to the management group. And then there are around 10,000 management groups can be supported in a single directory. And management group tree can support a 6 level of depth. That is what I have told in using this diagram. And moving to core Azure workload products. Yeah. uh, Azure Compute Services is one of the is an on-demand computing service that provides computing resources such as disk, processor, networking, operating system, etc. Like what you see here, you can get a container service as well, and then you can get a Kubernetes service, and then you can get a desktop as well as a virtual one. And then you can get a virtual machine as well. That is called as Azure Compute. And moving to next one, which is Azure Virtual Machine. Virtual machine are software emulations of the physical computers, and which includes the virtual processor, memory storage, and networking. Wherein you can reuse the term called as infrastructure as a service, because you are providing an infrastructure which is memory storage and everything. So this is called as, this can be called as an IaaS as well. And the total control and the customization being managed by the IaaS itself. Okay. I guess we haven't done with this part. Let's go and do that part. When you want to create a, sorry, one second. Yeah. When you want to create a virtual machine, what you have to do is, you can go to home, and then you can create a resource, and you can create over here. We had saw this yesterday itself, and you can give over the resource group, and based on that you would be charged with the amount. That is what is this is the walkthrough of the virtual machine what we have done. And Azure App Services is, moving to next one, which is Azure App Services. Azure App Services is fully managed platform to build, deploy, and scale web apps, and we can also build APIs quickly. APIs is something, I guess, which is getting popular right few from past few years, and we would be able to do that. We have few things in REST. We have few things in API as well, which is REST API, and then there are different kind of things wherein you would be able to. You have to launch the API, and then you have to use it at one service. That is, those are all the things that can be done under the Azure App Services. It works good with .NET, .NET Core, Java, Python, PHP, Node.js. And platform as a service is one which is offering the enterprise grade performance, security, and compliance requirement. Um, and Azure App Services comes under the platform as a service one, because it provides the platform where the APIs or web apps or anything has to be built or deployed, and that can be scaled as well, right? So that comes under a platform as a service. And we can yeah we can we haven't gone through this one. We have to create a web app using a Docker image, and then test it. Creating a web app is also similar to how you do a virtual machine. You can go over here, and I guess before going with that, I can walk you through with the marketplace. Marketplace is a place where you can find n number of the n number of the services or whatever you need that will be listed here. You can filter it based on the pricing or operating system or whatever you need, and then when you want to opt here, everything will be segregated based on the services that it is being offered for. Like, if you want to get a managed service, then these are all the things that are available over Azure. And when you want to go with some AI and ML things, then you can find these things over here, and you can create it and you can use it. And when it comes to compute, you can see those things here, and you can use it. Likewise, we will be having n number of services which are available, and we can use it. Yeah. Um, Now let's see how to create a web app, and we will be using it. Whatever you need, just search here and you would be able to see whatever it is related to you and you can use it. Like we need a web application using a Docker image stored in Azure Container. So what we would be doing is we would be just clicking on the web app, and we will be creating it. And this also, you have to create a web app name, and then you have to give, since it is a Docker image, you can select here, and Docker has to be, you can select what kind of operating system it has to be, like Linux or Windows, or the region where it has to be in. Um, if you are if you are selecting a region which is so closer to you, then you can expect a better performance in it. So better choose a region which is very closer to you, and then move with the next one. Yeah, for everything you have to create a resource group before doing it. So in this case, like what we saw for virtual machines, we can use the same ones, or if you want to do that with a different resource group, then that's also fine, go with it and create it. And we have to give a web application names as well, and like I am giving. It should be unique, so it will not be coming when it is not available. So um, we have we are giving a name to it, and then we can see whatever you need, and then you can go one by one and check whatever it is there, and you can start exploring those things. And then when everything is done, you can come to create and review, and then create it, and the Docker will be deleted. And one thing I would like to insist you, yes, if you are using some college ID, and using that, if you are using your own Azure portal, then you would be having a free subscription amount, right? And start deleting it when it is not needed, because when you start accumulating things, you would end up in losing the memory, and you would be charged for whatever you are not using. So better, the best approach is to delete whenever you don't need, when you are using an individual subscription. And when it comes to enterprise, um then just bother of what you are using, and then delete it off. This is how we would be creating, and we would be giving a name as well and creating it. I'm not creating it because the estimated amount here would be given, and based on the estimate amount, it would be charged for you. Yeah, this is how the Azure Docker service, sorry, web app being created. And moving to next one, which is Azure Container Services. Containers are the one which are very lightweight and virtual, which is used for the virtualized environment that does not require the operating system management, and can respond to the changes on demand. We have two different things. One is Azure Container Instance, and another one is Azure Kubernetes Service. And moving to Azure Container Service, your platform as a service will be offering a container in the Azure without the need. to manage a virtual machine or the additional resource, and that is called as Azure Container Service. And for Kubernetes service, we have an orchestration service for containers with the distributed architecture and the large volume of the containers, where the Kubernetes will be, we will be having a separate service itself as a Kubernetes, Azure Kubernetes services, and we can use that one. Okay. Moving to next one, we will be creating a container instance, and we will be deploying the container, and we would be testing it. uh, Going back, if you need a container to be searched, then you can, whatever you need, you can just search in the search resources, and you can find it. Even if the service what you are expecting is not available, then the documents also gets listed. You can use the document even if you don't know how to use those resources. Like in this case, we have to create a container. So I would be searching for a container. Yeah, it gets listed over here, and we have different services over here. Like we have container apps and container instance, container registries, everything. First is we would be creating container instance, and for creating a container instance, you would be giving, like what I told, you need a resource group to be created for everything. You can reuse the container, you can reuse the resource group, like if you need it to be reused, or you can create a new one as well. And you can give the container name over here, and then um, you can select the region, availability zone, and it has to be created what it has to be created, and how the image source will be, like whether it would be from the Azure Container Registry, or how it would be, and what would be the image it has to select, whether it has to select from Windows or it has to be Linux, and whether it has to be Linux or things that you want. And then you can review the size as well, and how many number of cores that you need, and how much memory you need, and then how much GPU you need, and you can move to the next one. uh, by giving all these ones, you would be able to create, and you would be able to review and create. Since I had not filled everything, it shows it has to be filled. When you give a proper name over here, you would be able to create it. This is how the Azure Container Service works. And then let's go back and look at how other things work. Yeah, moving to next one, which is Azure Virtual Desktop. Virtual Desktop is one which will be very similar to a desktop, like what you use, and it is a desktop, and it has app virtualizations, and which will runs in the cloud. That is called as Azure Virtual Desktop. And what usage you can do here is, sorry you can create a full desktop as a virtualized in the virtualized environment, without having it to run additional gateway servers to it. And then what you can do is, you can publish unlimited host pools to accommodate diverse workloads, and you can reduce cost with the pooled multi-session resources, and this is where the Azure virtual desktop is being used. And you can we will see an example of how it works. You can take the whole desktop as a virtual one, that is called as Azure virtual box. And then moving to next one, which is Azure networking services. And in this one, the Azure virtual network, which will enable resources to communicate with each other over the internet or on-premises network. And this would be like kind of VNet, where we are most familiar with, right? And that would be used. And virtual private network gateway is used to send an encrypted traffic between the Azure virtual network and an on-premises location over the public network. And Azure Express route is one which is used to extend on-premises network into Azure over the private connection, and that is facilitated by connectivity provider. Yeah, let's see how the virtual network is being created, and let's have few things to be discussed on Azure portal, and then come back here to module 3. Um, yeah, like what I told, you can go to the marketplace, and you can search over whatever it is there. And for example, if you need something based on the internet of things, and you have to be using it, then you can use that. In this case, we would be okay. Let's take an example of how IoT Hub works, and then we can check how we can use it. IoT Hub is one which would be used to connect the IoT Internet of Things and the data together, and the data would be stored inside it, and you can use it with the term of sorry with the analytics, and you can perform drawing a chart or something. And when you give a create over it, you can create a IoT hub with the resource group being created to it, and you can give a IoT hub name, and you can give the nearest region that you need, and you can go to the next one. And after that, you can select whether the connectivity region has to be public or private, or how it has to be, and then you can move to the next one, which will be like 1 second. Yeah. Like it will have different pricing tier as well. If you want, you can select a free tier as well, or if these are all the things which are based on the price, it would be splitted, and that would be given over here. A standard tier is something which would be giving you, you can see the pricing tier here as well, like what messages you would be receiving here, and what would be the cost, and what would be the message routing here, and then how the IoT will be what what it would be having will be listed over here, and you can check it here. And I would be moving it to something like basic or tier, wherein you can find something like the resource being sorry the price or the cost being changed here. And like the messages you can send is here different, totally different, and The cost will be based on the ones which you based on the messages that you send. And then for now, what I would be doing is, if you are using an individual or if you are using an college based college based id, then you can put a free tier, because we are just checking, right? So we would be enough with 8,000 messages per day, and we would be getting it. And then you can review and create it. And after that, you would be able to create a IoT. You can see the IoT hub being created, and post that, if the data would be stored in it, and the data can be the data that data can be put into a dashboard, or you can create a dashboard using the analytics service, and then see how how it is performing, or how it is being done. For those kind of purposes, IoT hub is being used. And then yeah, like what we see here, we can create a virtual network as well with two virtual machine, which is like, you can create a virtual machine. You can create two different kind of virtual machine, and you can map it to a virtual network over there. Like uh, you would be having. Yeah, if you whatever you need, you can just search here, and after searching, you would be getting whatever it is there would be listed here, and the document as well, like what I told you earlier. The document also gets displayed, like how you have to use in case of any doubts over it. You can refer that as well. You can yeah Now the virtual network has been opened, and you can create a virtual network, and we are giving a name to it, and then the instance name as well. Everything has to be instance, and that has to be given with a name. And then we would be giving with the region that is there, with the nearest region, and we would be going to the IP address, which IP address we have to be there. And if it has to be given with the IPv6 address space, then the value has to be specified over here. And then the value, sorry, you have to create a subnet as well. Subnet is something like, you have to, okay, we would be checking if we can create a subnet. Subnet this, you have to give a subnet name, and then you have to create a subnet value as well. Address range, which would be something like which is mentioned here. You can give whatever the the value that is created for the virtual machine. You would be having an address range, and you have to create that, and give it over here. And then if you need a v6 value as well, you can take the whole sample, and the whole address, and then give it over here. And the after creating a subnet, you would be able to, okay, after creating a subnet, you would be able to use it, and then uh, you can use the existing subnet as well. And then which is default, which will not be there, which will be created as a default by the Microsoft Azure itself. You can use that, or you can use the ones which are being created by us for in terms of the virtual machine. And then go to the next one, which is security, and move it. We can check if we need any kind of security to it. Firewall, we if you need to enable a firewall or not, or if you need a DDoS protection standard or not, and then based on host or not, and you can add a tag as well to it, like how you want to be categorized, and how it has to be named, and how the value has to be. You can specify those things over here, and then based on that, yeah, like what I said, I haven't gave any name over here, so it is throwing an exception. I would just give as, yeah, I would be coming over here and post that it gets failed because we haven't created any IP address to it. Yeah. Should have, since we have selected add address value, it is asking for a value, and now if you go and create, it would be creating because we have selected a default one, and now it's getting displayed, right? So this is how it would be. You can create a virtual network, and you can map those virtual missions to it after doing it. Yeah. Next one is something with Azure Storage Services. Storage services is the we have different kind of storage services in Azure. The first one is container storage, which is also called as blob in terms of Azure, and the container storage is optimized for storing the massive amount of the unstructured data, such as text or the binary data. And the second one is the disk storage. The disk storage provides disk of virtual machines, applications, and the other services to access and use. And the third one is Azure Files, which will be used to set up the highly available network file, and we would be able to give the server message block, and we can give a server message block protocol as well to it by using it. Um, and this is where the module 2 ends, and I hope you all are clear until module 2. And if you have any questions, you can drop in now till until we move to next one, or we would s- start with the module 3. Sorry. Okay, all right. Let's move to the next one, which is core solutions. And in this one, what we would be seeing is we would be looking at the core concepts, core Azure solutions, which is IoT, like what we saw just now, like IoT Hub, and is an example of what we saw. And then Synapse analytics to the Databricks, and we can see in deep about the AIML as well. And l- yeah, Azure Internet of Things. Before moving into Azure Internet of Things, I would like to start with what Internet of Things is all about, and then what we have for uh, Internet of Things, and we can go ahead with that, so that you can now interrelate with what we saw before, and you can use it. you can understand whatever we are being explained here. And Internet of Things is the ability for the devices to garner and then relay information for data analysis. Like it would be collecting the information, and that would be storing it for the data analysis to be performed. And that is where the Internet of Things works for. Mm. Um, and Azure has many services offered to it, and one such is Azure IoT Central, and the second one is Azure IoT Hub, and the third one is Azure Sphere. And Azure IoT Central is a fully managed global IoT SaaS solution, and that makes us to easily connect, monitor, and manage IoT asset and at scale. We can be able to monitor or manage things at it, and whenever it is needed, we would be able to scale it up as well. That is IoT Central main usage. And moving to next one, which is IoT Hub, which we saw just now. It would be having a Okay. It would be having a central message hub with a bidirectional communication to it between the IoT application and the devices which manages to it. And this would be hosted in a cloud where the cloud is Azure, and you would be able to get a managed service for it. Yeah, moving to next one, which is Azure Sphere. It is very secured, and which will have the high level platform built in it. And this is useful in case of the security features. If we have any internet connected devices acting to it, and if you need it to be responded or something, then you can use a Azure Sphere and get it done. Yeah, this is one which we saw just now. I had walked through the um, implementation of Azure IoT Hub just now. I wanted to take up all the Azure related, portal related things to be at one place so that you are not getting confused, and so that many times of switching between the PPT and the portal is not being happened, so that would not confuse you. So I completed it before itself. Um, yeah, this is all about IoT related things, and let's see how big data and analytics plays a role at Azure. We have something called as Azure Synapse Analytics, and there is another one which is called as Azure HD Insight, and then we have the third one as Azure Databricks. And HD Insight will be something which would be used for the performing all the big data related things, and you can use it for analytics tool as well. Uh, it would be a fully managed and open source analytics services that would be offered for all the enterprises. If you try using an Azure HD Insight with your individual ID, then I guess that won't be possible, because that would be going with a high charge, and you would end up getting charged as high as possible. And then the moving to next one, which is Azure Synapse Analytics. The Synapse Analytics is something which is cloud-based enterprise data warehouse, where the data gets stored inside it, and you can use it for the analytics purpose as well. And Azure Databricks is something which has Apache Spark also been installed in it, and you can use the Apache Spark as well. And then you can use the analytics service as well based on the Apache Spark. This is how the big data and analytics gets a major role in it. And let's see how artificial intelligence and machine learning plays a role at Azure. Actually, this is one of my favorite and interesting part because when you go in deep and check how artificial and machine learning things works at Azure, you would be able to see a lot of things and lot of new things and which are being given at a day like it would be updated then and now, and you can use it at whatever times you need. And moving to Azure machine learning, which is a cloud based model to develop, train and deploy machine learning models. Here you can use the Azure machine learning models such as almost all the machine learning models are being given over here, and you can use all those machine learning models here. And inside the Azure, and whatever you do with the manual machine learning, with a regular process of the machine learning, you can do it in the inside the cloud itself. And you can develop it, you can train it with the data set, and then you can deploy the sorry, you can deploy the trained data set as well, and then you can deploy the machine learning models which was trained as well inside the Azure. And then moving to next one, which is cognitive service. Cognitive service is the one which would be used for chatbot services. And then it would actually enables apps to see, hear, speak, understand, and interrupt a user's need. You can see whatever it is being used for a chatbot right here. Um, you chatbot usually has the cognitive service, and you can develop a chatbot also with the help of cognitive service. And then moving to next one, which is Azure bot service. Azure bot service is something which will develop intelligent enterprise grade bots, where the bot would be at bot means here as robots, and that would be doing an automated jobs as its own, and that is called as Azure bot service. And yeah, let's see an example over here, or let's stop here and go back to the next one. Then let's see all at together once. Okay, let's see few more slides as well, and then let's go back to the Azure portal and look how AI/ML works. And let's stop this for the day. Let's continue with this one. Serverless computing is one which will have the Azure functions in it, and Azure logic apps as also with it. Azure function is a event based code which will be running your service and not the underlying infrastructure. Azure Logic Apps is the one which would be used to automate and orchestrate task, business process, and the workflows to integrate the apps. These are all the things which comes under the serverless computing, because we don't need a server to be maintained by to be run for those things. So instead, you would be having the Azure functions created and logic apps will also be created. Let's see how it works in few minutes. Yeah, let's go back to the Azure portal and let's check. For everything what you need, just go to the marketplace or search for whatever you need, and then um, in this case whatever we need is for AI and ML. Let's start with the example of computer vision or computer vision or the just the machine learning model itself. um, And when you want a machine learning model to be created, workspace to be created, then what you have to do is like like the regular purpose, you have to create a resource group. And then after creating a resource group, what you would be doing is you would be giving all these things, and then after creating these values, you would be creating a vault as well, which would be used to you would be able to select the existing ones, or you would be able to you have to create a key vault as well. Like here, as it mentioned here, it is used to store the secret data or secret informations that is needed for this workspace. And then how much storage, which storage account you need, and how the replication has to be, it depends on the uh, it all depends on whatever you give and whatever you create. If you don't need that one, then you can create a new one and you can create a replication of how it has to be, and then you can give it over there. And then you can give the application highlights, and then you can give the workspace and everything. And what happens is you can give the connectivity method as well, like whether it has to be in public or whether it has to be private, so that the how it has to how you can connect to your workspace has been decided with these ones. And the advanced will have the data of sorry, will have how your data encryption has to be how your data encryption has to be um, in progress, or how your data is being impacted, or how your machine learning allows you to have a credential based identity. These are all the things being you have to select, and then give a review and create based on that. It would not be allowing me to create because I had missed few fields over here. And when we are done with these workspace name and then resource group name, we would be able to create it. This is how machine learning works for AI. Let's go to a cognitive. Sorry. Let's go to the computer vision. Computer vision is one of the most interesting one which would be there in the AIML that it gives, and you can use it for identifying the human, or even with, I mean, 1 minute. Yeah, you can have a document as well over here which would describe the um, computer vision, and you can use it for the extracting the informations or how it would be acting. You can have a look of those documents, and uh, like what you see here, you can have a, yeah, it breaks through the computer vision, and in this one, even if this is difficult for us to identify what it is, right? But a computer visions, when you train those models, it would be able to identify that it is a suburban train, and a man is walking with it. Even if the image clarity isn't good, it would be able to identify that that it is that much good with working with the Azure computer vision. And then this is how it would be looking like. um, yeah, it would have all the documentations listed over here on how to get started with the computer visions, on how to use it. We have all the documents. One good thing regarding the Microsoft is it provides all the documents very neat and clearly. You don't have to depend on someone, or you don't have to wait for any training purpose. You can just, if you need, just Google it. All the documents from the Microsoft itself gets displayed, and you can start using it. All all your doubts are being cleared inside it, and you would be able to work after that. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's come back over here and see how to create a computer vision, and then we can go ahead with it. Like when you need to create a cognitive computer vision, then you need a resource group, uh, which would be supporting the cognitive service, and we can give over here, we can give a resource group and move to a region which would be supporting, which would be very nearest to us, like whatever we do, and then give a name of what it has to be, and pricing depends on how you need to. Like if you are okay with the free, then you can go ahead with free. If you don't need, then it would be 10 calls per second. Like if you are working for an enterprise or something, then if you have created a chat bot which is which is very interactive one, like say it is a live chat bot and you have to respond it immediately, then you would be receiving a message. You would be receiving continuous messages, right? For example, like take an organization which is too busy in it. You would be People would be accessing it from different kind of different different locations, and you would be able to get different calls from them, and you have to answer them, and you have to reply them back. At that case, at those kind of case, you have to give, only at those kind of stage you have to select a standard. Otherwise free is okay with our kind, and we would be giving free. And you can give you can read those stuff, and you can check it here and create it. For now it is denying because I haven't give any name, or I haven't created any resource group, so it would be throwing an exception for me. But when you have created it, you could be able to use how the cognitive service would be working, and you can work with that based on the inputs that you have. Sorry, you can You can give a data set to it, and you can train, you can test it, you can uh, deploy the model as well. Yeah. Coming back, okay. We are left with this, right? Creating a function app with hope. Yeah. Let's go back and try that. To create a function app, you would have to just create whatever you need. Like what I said, if you search, it would be displaying all those things, and you can click on it, and you can create whatever you need. In this case, I'm doing it, and we are reusing the same resource group, and uh, we are giving it. And how do you want to publish it, whether you have to publish it as a Docker container, or whether you have to publish it as a code. For now, I'm giving as a Docker container because that would be easy for us to get it done. So I'm giving as a Docker container, and then based on that, how your storage has to be, and you have to decide on how your storage would be, and operating system would be Linux or Windows, or and how your plan type has to be decided, uh, and then all these values would be given by you, and has to be decided by you, and based on that you would be and based on that you would be given here whether able whether you are eligible to create a function app or not, and you would be given to it. With that, you can create a function app and start using it. This is how the function app will be look like, and you have to start using it. And uh, then we would uh, we would have we would have different kind of coming back to this one. We would be having different development apps which can be done with the DevOps and GitHub. With Azure DevOps, we can do the development collaboration, and which can help in the pipelines or the Kanban boards and the automated cloud-based load testing. These things can be done with the help of the Azure DevOps and GitHub. I think many of you might know already. GitHub um, is a repository which would be used to store the code that has been already developed, and you can use it to share among the people. This is one of the GitHub's usage. And then what git use GitHub uses for Azure is it automates software workflow to build, a test, and deploy from the GitHub. And then Azure development dev test labs is something which would create Azure environments in Azure, it is while it minimizes the cost of controlling it, and also it minimizes the waste also as well. That is where the Azure dev test labs is also all about. And I guess let's stop here, and let's quickly have a look of if we have any questions, we would get it solved. If not, let's wind up for the day. And let's see. Let's catch up tomorrow. I guess we have almost covered with whatever portion we need for the Azure 900, and we are on track to it, and we would be completing it by tomorrow. Let me stop here for questions if you have anything. No questions? Okay,
No, ma'am. I don't
good.
think there are any questions from the audience side. Like you explained each and every topic in very depth. So I don't think that they must be having any kind of queries. And guys, if you are having any other queries, kindly just accommodate them. You can ask them with our mentor tomorrow as well, as we are having the day three of the session. And afterwards, we'll be having a quiz for all of you on our Discord, where the top performers will be getting the official Microsoft merchandise. So as of now, let's wrap up with the session. Thank you very much, ma'am, for taking out your time on the weekend as well. For the community folks, we really appreciate. And thank you everyone for being such a patient audience. See you tomorrow for the session. Bye bye.
Thank you all.